Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Nice Longer Care YouTube channel. My name is Lucas, and today I'm going to help you get ready to fill out your FSAID so that you can eventually fill out your FAFSA. Those are two separate things. I'll get into that in a second, but I do want to address this because I think it's important. Just kind of ignore those cobwebs. It's like Halloween almost, so I'm kind of decorated in my house. That's what you get. Today what we're going to work on is your FSAID. And essentially what the FSAID is if you think about it like an account to log into your FAFSA. It also allows you to sign your FAFSA, and so for that FSAID, which is a username and password, you're going to need one for you and one for a parent or guardian to help sign the FAFSA with you, unless there's some special situations. And it's like in that, I'll talk a little bit about that as we go forward. That will be in the FAFSA video, so look out for the how to fill out your FAFSA, and I'll tell you in that video whether or not you need one of these for your parent as well, or at least give you a bit of a guideline. Figuring it out, you should definitely talk to a professional. This is just a little how-to on how to get it done. So, first things first, let me go over here. We're going to head to FSAID.ed.gov. Make sure I spelled it right. Yes, I did. FSAID.ed.gov. That website will bring you to this page here. You can either do it from this page, or hypothetically, if you needed to, you could also go from the FAFSA. And so if you've already started your FAFSA, there'll be multiple places throughout that may say create a new FSAID, create a FSAID, or you need to create one in order to do certain things. And so you can do it at that point too. It'll bring you to this same page. Now, I haven't sat on manage my FSAID. This is how you would edit it, but it'll actually bring you to create a new FSAID. And what you're going to do here is just go through and fill this out. The first part's pretty easy. You do have to have an email. If you don't have an email, or your parents don't have an email, because that is sometimes the case, make one. Gmail is really easy to set up. I think it's pretty easy to use, but any email will work, whether that's Yahoo, Hotmail, whatever you want to set up. So you'll need an email. Your username, and I think this is important, can kind of be whatever you want it to be. It's not super difficult to do. Making it your name's not a bad idea, but also I think a good idea for usernames are things like if you have a gamer tag, if you're a gamer, or certain other things, you can fill out those for that as well. And then your password, you'll notice these little check marks. You're going to have to fill out 3 of these first 4. So it has to have a number, an uppercase letter, a lowercase letter, or a special character. So it has to have 3 of those in there, as well as has to be 8 to 30 characters long. I would strongly suggest hitting the show text button so that you can see what you type, because if you mess up and type the wrong thing, then you won't ever remember that password because you misspelled it, and that's not good. It also, if I'm not mistaken, it can't be your username, but you don't want it to be too easy. Also, it will expire after a few months of not using it, so you have to reset it anyway, and then you can't reset it to the same thing it was before. It gets a little complicated. Strong suggestion for passwords. I had this given to me a couple weeks ago. Choose a color, an animal, and a number. And so like red, alligator, 3. Or purple, sphinx, 7. Something along those lines can be really good. Or you can even use like simple things like red dog 1. I don't know, it's pretty cool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fill this page out, and then I'll come back to you guys in just a second. The next page you'll see is going to look a little something like this. Now, this is an important page, and I'm telling you, please be very careful with what you put into this particular part of your FSAID, because fixing it is not always super difficult, but it can be very, very hard. Unlike the Tennessee Promise, where it's not as big of a deal if you make a mistake, this is super important. So make sure that you check all this stuff. And I'll also say this, do not trust your school or your parents to remember your social super well. I've had kids who went through an entire 12 years of school who had the wrong social. And so what I think is really important here is that you want to make sure that you do this social security number right. In particular. Also, for your first, middle, last name, this has to be as it appears on your social security card. Not what you want to be called, not what you think is really cool to be called. It has to be exactly that way. And so the same thing for your parents. If they've been married recently, if they haven't changed their name legally yet, this needs to be the old name. Otherwise, it won't allow you to go forward in the long run. So make sure this appears exactly, if you were to go get a brand new Social Security number or Social Security card created today, what would the name that would show up according to them be? That's what needs to be put in here. So I'm going to fill this out. I'll be back with you on the next page. The next page will bring you to look a little something like this. Now, I've deleted all the information out of mine so that you can't see it, just because, I mean, it's obviously something you don't want to get out. And ideally, this should stay secret to just you. Not even your parents should know it, but of course, I know that sometimes that information may be shared, especially if you trust them, that's okay. So it'll already have your emails filled out, as well as your username and your passwords. Once again, check this show text, make sure you spelled everything correctly. You don't want to mess that up. It's going to ask for a mailing address, and I definitely would put something like that in. It makes things a little bit easier in the long run, but if you're in between addresses, it's okay to put one. You can always come back and change that. That is something that's easy to change by logging back in. Now, it's going to ask about mobile phone account recovery. I would strongly suggest saying yes if you can. Now, I'll be honest with you, for me, my carrier, I have Sprint, is not very good with short code messaging, which is what this will essentially be. So sometimes it doesn't work well with certain carriers in certain regions. But if you click yes, make sure you have service or the ability to receive a text message, because you will at the end of this process. And it's incredibly important that you type in that code, because otherwise you won't be able to use it. And then recovering this is incredibly hard if you don't have some form. So make sure the email you have is what you can use to recover stuff, and you have access to, and will continue to have access to, because you need to be able to make sure you can get into it should you ever forget your username or your password. So make sure you put your telephone number in there, okay? You don't have to put an alternate phone. It's not a bad idea if you want to, but that's something, if you want to do that, you can. So yeah, you just fill this out. This is a super easy part. I'll be back with you in just 1 second. Your next page brings you here, and this is an incredibly important part. I've seen multiple strategies for this. It's up to you what you want to do. But I would strongly suggest that you do this the way it's meant to be done. I know certain schools will tell you just put the same answer for everything, or go through and put the questions to all lead the same thing. Choose things that won't change. And what I mean by that, when you take a look at these, some of these may change, right? They're things like, what is your favorite? You'll see that sometimes. Most of these are pretty good. It's not as bad as the Tennessee Promise one. But what is the first name of your best friend? Your best friend may change 100 times in the middle of high school, and it may change another 100 times as you use this throughout the next 4 years in college. So I wouldn't suggest picking something that may change. One of the ones I think is really important, it's easy to use. What color was your first car? If you've had one, is a good one. Who was your first boss can be good if you remember their name and you'll remember how to spell it the correct way. What city were you born in? That can be a really easy one as well. Once you pick 2 questions, you have to create 2. For these, I would suggest doing things you'll remember. So for me, I might make one about superheroes, because I really like superheroes. It's a big deal. One of the things I enjoy. So that'll be one of my answers for one of those questions. Could be like, what's my favorite superhero, or what's your favorite movie character? In that case, I know it's not going to change, because I know what the answer for that always is. For other things you may choose here, things like, what's your youngest sibling's name? What's your mother's name? Easy questions that you'll be able to remember, because whenever you forget your account and you can't use your email, you can't use your phone, because there could be a number of reasons, but hopefully you can do it that way. If you have to come and do it this way, you'll have to answer 3 of these questions. There'll be one question they don't ask you, and it's almost always one of these 2 they don't ask you. They'll ask you one of these and both of these. So make sure you know your stuff. When you come down to this loan balances, you can do it if you want to. I don't normally suggest it, because you can do your loan balances in a number of ways, and being able to access them over your phone is kind of redundant, because there'll be other ways you need to do it that are a little more efficient. But if you want to do that, feel free to. It's an 8-digit code that I believe you get to create, and then if you want to do it that way, you can. It's not a huge deal. Also, for these questions, I will say that you can't use like 2-letter answers. So I know a lot of students will pick, like, down here they'll say, what state was I born in? And then they'll put TN for Tennessee. Well, they won't let you do that. And you can't use like one number. You can't use the number 3. Like, how many siblings do you have? 3. You have to write out the word 3. You can't just put the number 3. These questions are a little complicated. If there's something where, like when you first write the question and you are debating between two answers, don't pick that question. Pick another question. Pick something you instantly know the answer to, and you can instantly answer in the same way every single time. That's what's really important for this. So, want to fill this out? I'll be back in just 1 second. This page here will show you all of your information one more time to let you check over it. Now, I've got mine blanked out, so you're not going to be able to see it. But this will just give you the opportunity to look through everything and say, okay, this is correct, this is correct, this is correct. Make sure you do that. You come down to the bottom of the page. I have to change this box. We're doing editing on the fly. You're welcome. These are the things I do. Okay, we're going to do it like this. So you'll come down to the bottom, and when you get down here, there will be a section. Make sure I can do this. Yeah. Okay, there'll be a section here that talks about all of your stuff. Right, this is the terms and conditions. You always have that when you make an account. There's a couple things that are important about this. One, this FSAID allows you to sign federal student aid documents. That's good. It allows you to sign your FAFSA online without having to do it physically. Physically, it takes 6 to 7 weeks for it to go through and process once they've received it in the mail. But doing it this way, it's instantaneous, and then they can just process it once they have everything put together. Way easier on you. It also gives them access to your personal records, which is literally everything you just gave them. So you don't have to worry too much about that. And it does make legal obligations in terms of loans. So you gotta be careful with that. Be careful accepting loans on that. If you lose your FSAID, here are the things you need to do. This is everywhere. There are plenty of places for you to find this on the website. If you lose it, call someone. This is a huge deal. Do not, if you think you've been hacked, you need to call someone. This is incredibly important. And then finally, this last part here says, I didn't lie to you, I'm not a scumbag, and it's okay for me to click all this. So do that, because that's a good thing. Make sure you click this box here, and then hit continue, and it'll bring you to the next page. I'll explain that. I'll be with you in just a second. I see a lot of students get confused at this point. And it's kind of easy too, because here's the thing. I realize you don't really read things. I'm bad to not read things. Read this. Or look for the picture at the very least. The first thing, if you put in your text message, if you wanted to use your text message to be able to recover your account, the first thing it'll send you is a code to your phone. Notice this is a picture of a phone. It will come to your phone. Mine is lighting up right now. I'm going to type this in, and then it'll take you to another page. That page is different. You'll be like, it looks exactly the same. Why is it doing this twice? It's not the same. I'll show you why. But let me get my code in first. There's an important difference here. Well, I just filled out that last page. Why am I here now? Notice here. This is a piece of mail. You may not be familiar with it because you probably don't get a lot of letters. But that's a piece of mail. That's because this has been sent to your email, not to your text message. This is to verify both your texts from your phone and your email. So they're both verified so that you can use them to recover your account. So just go check that email you put in. It'll send you an email. There should be 2 in there. One of them will say, hey, you created an account. That one's basically just to tell you created an account. The other one will tell you, here's the code you need to type in. Type that code in, and then you'll hit submit, and I'll show you the next page. And that's it. Now, admittedly, that's kind of complicated, but that's it. That's all you got. You're done. You have an FSAID now. Here are a bunch of links you might need one day. I don't really know. You'll get these in emails 1,000 times, probably, if you ever need to use them. But if you haven't started your FAFSA, you did this first. Here's the link to the FAFSA. You can go straight to it. If you ever take out loans, you'll be able to use this, but they'll talk to you more about that in loan counseling, should you ever need it. Same thing here. This stuff will be discussed with you later. And then I don't know why you would ever need to log into federal student aid unless you're looking at the loan service or stuff. And it's all loans and stuff that you'll be taught about if you decide to take out loans. Regardless, you now have an FSAID. You now can go in, finish up that FAFSA, and sign it for you. Make sure, once again, that you make one of these for a parent or guardian if you need to. Because you need to sign it, and they need to sign it, unless you're an independent student, which is a whole entire mess of other things. I'll provide links to that in the FAFSA video later. That's coming up. It's another it'll be on the same channel. Anyways, guys, I've been Lucas. This has been how to make an FSAID, and as always, we'll see you guys next time.